Good morning, Extermination Nation. Major Static here to bring you an important set of announcements from the UEF and our contracting groups. With me here today is Veronica Leahy from Genicorp, Dash Foley from Wartime Salvage, Major Terrence Hammerjack Wilcox from the military, Supervisor Amber Buchanan from Hands for the Future, Agent Tom Miller from the agency, and UEF Representative Marcus Daly. This is some big stuff, people, so tune in and listen up.
We would like to begin with the reasoning for the sudden evacuation of Sunset Lake Camp, as many of you have submitted information requests on this topic. On the morning of October 1st, a massive sinkhole opened between Double Rainbow Lake Road East and South Prairie Creek Road, which began to swallow Prairie Creek. When UEF contractors were sent to investigate, they discovered a huge network of underground tunnels, some of which were very large in diameter, nearly 3 meters, and possibly intended for something larger than we've seen this far out from a hive. These tunnels had been infiltrated past the perimeter of the camp and showed signs of continued active digging. Sunset Lake was rated too vulnerable to continue using as a UEF base. Refugees have been evacuated from the Wilkeson area and moved further south, with troops assisting the relocation while awaiting new deployment assignments.
Speaking of deployments, is there any news on that front? I know many of the contractors are eager to get back out there.
As a matter of fact, yes, we have good news for those awaiting assignment. We will be deploying to retake an abandoned outpost in Allen, Washington. On September the 28th, contractors will move on to St. Albans, an old Girl Scout camp, to establish a foothold there.
So September the 28th is the long-awaited day for many of our displaced contractors from Sunset Lake. I know many of the contractors have been staying busy, but for those restlessly awaiting deployment, it's time to get back out there and fight the good fight. I want to turn it over to our contracting group representatives to give some information to their contractors.
Thank you, Major. As far as Wartime Salvage goes, Sunset Lake gave us a great deal to work with vis-a-vis resource recovery due to the high levels of military activity in the area. And the peninsula is just a very, very different environment. The move to St. Albans is going to focus us less on things like ordnance and wreckage and a lot more on exploring pre-built human buildings and structures that have become abandoned in the wake of the Vancouver hive's push south. There's a lot of things that have been left behind, a lot that can still be put to good use in bolstering the war effort, and a decentralized location is optimally going to enable us to muster some momentum and gather some resources without being in the hive's direct line of fire. Isaiah and I are currently working with UEF cartographers and tacticians to map out potential hotspots for salvage right now, and we're prioritizing contracting our employees who have experience working with us at the Sunset Lake site before we bring in more bodies from our partner organizations in Portland, Spokane, and Boise. That said, we're open to new people, new perspectives, so we're going to be filling our cabins as best we can and trying to hit the ground running as soon as we get to go ahead to deploy.
The Court of Sewell have landed a ship at St. Albans and are working to secure the area. Our primary duty at this point is to protect the incoming convoys of supplies and work with the outsiders' forces to keep the camp secure. There have been reports of new Drominae on the peninsula, so we must remain ever vigilant. We are working to increase our satellite coverage of the area, but inclemental weather and excessive canopy coverage has made getting clear imagery difficult. It may be necessary to do some exploration on foot in order to get a clear picture of the threats we are facing in this new area.
The Genicorp laboratory is being transitioned as we speak to its new location at the St. Albans camp facilities. Our arrangement with UEF is going to remain in place regarding the utilization of lab facilities and public access hours to allow other contracting groups to use the lab when we do not have need of it. Our primary goal, Genicorp's primary goal, is going to remain the same. We're going to continue to strive to make new research discoveries and advancements for the purposes of improving our war efforts. In addition, we're going to continue to improve our relations with the other contracting groups as well as our new potential allies, the Court of Sewell, or outsiders as they're commonly called. Our intention is to create a more unified and efficient combat force. In regards to that, Genicorp has arranged to allow all UEF contractors currently contracted in the Vancouver quarantine zone to attend what we call the Integrative Combat Training Selection events. The ICT selection is a weekend-long course that focuses on training units with combatants and non-combatants together. The course focuses on things like small unit tactics, field science, first aid, and that kind of thing, along with culminating in a live field training exercise where you get to test all of your newly learned skills. If you have interest in that, and for more information, please feel free to go to www.genacorpict.com, and you can register there and get more information about the event. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Agent Miller.
Thank you, Ms. Leahy. The peninsula's many illicit settlements have largely been ignored by the UEF and U.S. forces before now. Several of them are near St. Albans Camp. The political leanings of local refugee groups are, as of yet, unknown in detail. It will be the first priority of the agency after the occupation of the camp to find, identify, and determine the threat level of the nearby refugee populations. Because of the expected difficulties in transporting supplies to the peninsula, we also will be pursuing positive, mutually beneficial relationships with any nearby settlements. Two known threats, the Watchers and the Church of the Converted, have both been reported to be active in the area by our early investigators. Outsiders are also expected to be active in the area, likely the same individuals who we've encountered at Sunset Lakes.
Since the Outsiders became publicly associated with Sunset Lake Camp, donations to hands earmarked specifically for our location have been pouring in. They did. As time passes, the flood slows to a trickle, but the boost was well-timed for the process of evacuating the refugees of Wilkeson, following the discovery of the tunnel network. No one needs to explain to hands what that could mean. And the transporting of hundreds of sick, wounded, young, old, and even the able-bodied people in Wilkeson has consumed most of the buffer that we gained. But that's what we do. That's what it's for. That's why we're here. Much of our resources in the past in the quarantine zone have gone to supporting the refugee populations in Wilkeson and around Camp Kirby before that. That will not be the case here on the peninsula. Our main purpose here will be to support the other CGs in holding this location in any way that we can. We will also, of course, continue aiding any passers through and ensuring their fair treatment on the way. The region is particularly difficult to get supplies to by traditional routes, so we will need to try to set up trade with the local settlements. The better relations we can establish, and the quicker, the better off all of us will be.
This is exciting news, and I'm sure the contractors are eager to get back out there and rejoin the fight. I wanted to say thank you to our panel of representatives, and I'll see you all out there September the 28th at St. Albans Camp in Allen, Washington. Hey everybody, we are back. That's right, we're super excited. Spite is indeed coming back towards the end of this year. That's right, September the 28th at St. Albans Camp in Allen, Washington. We're going to bring you a brand new event. I know the whole team is really excited to get back out there and run Spite and hopefully bring you a really neat experience. Like we said before, St. Albans is a bit more of a rustic camp than you're used to with Sunset Lake. To be perfectly frank, Sunset Lake spoiled the crap out of us. And it's really hard to get something comparable. So we have found something. There's enough places for everybody to be. We have plenty for you to bring friends, show up, have hundreds of people there. It'll be a really good time. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut over to some of the rest of the plot team, and they're going to tell you about some announcements and some few rules clarifications that we wanted to bring up. Take it away, guys.
So a refresher on the obey rules. Sometimes you may have occasion to hear across the battlefield an obey delivered by voice. It may say something like, obey androids, get down and jiggy with it. And if you're an android and you hear this command, you best get down and jiggy with it. Do not get around this rule by covering up your ears or going la 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 la, because that's just being rude, and you know it. We all know it. This command can be resisted normally.
Over the course of the event, you may encounter a large creature or puppet. If you're struck by any of these creatures, puppets, claws, or other appendages, you should take that damage regardless of whether it hits you on a weapon or shield. It will penetrate weapon and shield, otherwise the type of creature's claw or weapon should be obvious, whether it counts as a melee weapon or a drawn claw or what have you. This means that if you are struck by any of those things, you are going to take the damage even if you block the thing.
Quick clarification on the Sunder rule, guys. For sunderers, you have to make sure that you call out what item you're intending to sunder on the Sunder E. The sunder can be applied with a hit to the shield, melee weapon, or body. For sunderees, if you have an item that is sundered, for example a shield or a weapon, you cannot wield that in an active way. You can't hold the shield up or hold the weapon up in a way that would imply that it is not sundered. It's an important visual distinction to make. Thanks, guys.
All right, so that about sums it up. We are, again, very, very excited to be back. I know every plot team member here, we've been here all weekend in the bomb shelter, making sure that we are as safe as humanly possible to write plot for you. So we will see you on September the 28th, and oh man, it's going to be fun. Yay!
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 Yay.
Bye.
Yay.
Okay, we're done.